The King's Avatar, Chapter 1386. Complimentary audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1386, complimentary. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Was this a smokescreen of Happy's or not? The players were curious and the debate raged on. However, apart from Blue Rain, the other teams didn't concern themselves with it. What tricks did Happy have up their sleeve? Either way, Blue Rain was their lab rat. Once they fought with Blue Rain, then everything would be revealed. It wasn't like the other teams were gonna meet Happy first round, so why should they care? All the teams were working hard to prepare to take down their respective opponents. On the dawn of the war, everything was quiet. There was no more news or rumors flying about, just each team silently preparing for that fateful moment. June 14th, the opening match of much-anticipated playoffs began. City K, at 100 Blossoms home stadium. 100 Blossoms captain Yufeng had arrived, alone and too early. He stood in the middle of the field. Here was exactly here the projections would be, where the characters would tear at one another for victory. Yufeng looked up, gazing at the high-end projection technology. Here he was once more. Yufeng looked around the venue. It had been 2 years since he had came to 100 Blossoms, and this was the second time he had stood on the stage of 100 Blossoms' playoffs journey. Last year, their opponent had been Tyranny, and he had personally seen the attitude 100 Blossoms fans had towards Zhang Jiale. It looked like hate, but was this hate not born from love? In the end, it was because Zhang Jiale was important to them. Yufeng hoped to gain such importance, so he always did his best at 100 Blossoms, and he hoped to bring 100 Blossoms something they had never had before. The championship. Yufeng had won the championships before, and this made him far more fortunate than many of the other players in their circle. However, that championship bore too many marks from other people. He wasn't primary in that championship. Yufeng hoped to have a championship that, when people thought of it, they would immediately think of his name. That was why he stood here, and mercilessly abandoned the team he once loved so deeply, Blue Rain. Because of that, that brainless fan of Blue Rain's, Zhao Chenrui, had dragged his name through the mud and stomped on it, but Yufeng merely smiled and dismissed it. In the face of what he pursued, none of this was important. The world was fair. If he wanted to gain something, then he would have to lose something. This was, more or less, the basis of the principle of equivalent exchange. This was what he had done, and wasn't this also what 100 Blossoms ex-captain Zhang Jiale had done? Of course, him and Blue Rain weren't like Zhang Jiale and 100 Blossoms, and this was one of the reasons he had come to 100 Blossoms. Yufeng had even, embarrassingly enough, had a dream where after he left Blue Rain and joined 100 Blossoms, Blue Rain's fans treated him the same way 100 Blossoms had treated Zhang Jiale. That wasn't any sort of great situation to be in, and Zhang Jiale's pain was plain to see, but Yufeng envied him. That was exactly what he sought, after all, to be seen as important. He knew that his position in their hearts couldn't compare to Zhang Jiale, and probably even fell short of their previous berserker Sun Zheping, but Yufeng had confidence because he was already completely a part of 100 Blossoms. He believed that his efforts would be seen by 100 Blossoms fans, and now, what he had to do, was charge through this first stage. Samsara. The strongest team, in the eyes of countless. In this matchup, the online polls had 81% of people with their bets on Samsara, an overwhelming advantage. But what was funny was that in the regular season when the two teams faced off, 100 Blossoms had 7-1 to 3 once, and then lost 4-6 last time. If you added the scores, 100 Blossoms was in the lead 11-9. From this, it could be seen that sometimes, statistics really meant nothing. Who would think that they were stronger than Samsara just from the advantage from these two matches between them? None, practically none at all. The 19% support that 100 Blossoms had probably wasn't because anyone thought them stronger, but just that they could win. Strong and weak, victory and defeat, there was never any certainty in it. Being stronger would increase your chances, but it was never 100%. And so long as it wasn't 100%, then there would always be a chance for a different ending. Even if it was 1 in a million, it was still a possibility. Right now, it seemed that the general populace believed that 100 Blossoms only had a 19% of victory. Then let this 19% become reality. Yu Feng took a deep breath and glanced at the time. It was still early, nowhere near 8:30 p.m. After taking a walk across the competition stage, he decided to leave, but that was when he saw Zhou Yuan. This teammate of his had also come to the stadium and was ascending the stairs to the stage. "You came, too?" Yu Feng asked. Though the two were rather far away from each other, there was no one in the stadium, making it completely silent. Yu Feng barely had to raise his voice to hear it echo throughout the stadium. "Yeah, I came to get a feel for the atmosphere ahead of time," Zhou Yuan replied. "Get a feel? How?" Yu Feng looked behind him. There was not a single person in the stadium. It was dead silent. "I'm going to put my imagination to the test, as exaggerated as possible. That way, when the time comes, I'll just think to myself, so that's it? Then, I won't feel the pressure anymore," Zhou Yuan said. Yu Feng laughed. The pressure the team had suddenly piled on top of his teammate had nearly driven his teammate crazy. He was probably thinking of that time as a way to alleviate the match pressure. He looked towards Zhou Yuan, who stood at the edge of the stage staring at the empty spectator seats. Suddenly, Zhou Yuan shut his eyes and opened his arms, focusing on his method of relieving the pressure he felt. Yu Feng didn't utter a sound. He simply watched him quietly, not even taking a step. A short while later, he saw Zhou Yuan retract his arms, open his eyes, look at him, and chuckle. Done. Would you like to try?" Zhou Yuan asked. "Me? Nah. It doesn't suit me. If the crowd isn't as spirited as imagined, I'd probably be disappointed," Yu Feng said. Exclamation mark. Quote dot. "Ha, true. You're different than me." Zhou Yuan sighed. Yes, the two were different, not alike in the slightest. The pressure that Zhou Yuan had nearly gone mad from was exactly what Yu Feng had always hoped to have. Zhou Yuan feared that pressure, but Yu Feng enjoyed it. When Yu Feng came to 100 Blossoms, Zhou Yuan didn't hesitate to hand over his responsibilities as the core player and the captain to Yu Feng. After the pressure onto him lessened, Zhou Yuan worked hard to learn those responsibilities, to seize the good fortune that had been forced onto him. His efforts gradually paid off, but he didn't regret his decision of giving up his core position. In the end, he couldn't change his personality. The roles with the most pressure, captain and core player, were far more suited for Yu Feng, who would certainly do better at them than he could. How fun! Wuxia-World-Audio.com. Zhou Yuan couldn't help but think to himself sometimes. The two of them were opposites, yet they had ended up becoming teammates and partners. Was it because they were different that it was easy for them to complement each other? In this season's evaluations for best partners, the two had earned high marks. Is it the revival of Blood and Blossoms? Zhou Yuan remembered the target the club had initially given the two of them. Now it looked like they would just have to make do. Blood and Blossoms required a quick connected playstyle. It wasn't as simple as just having the technical portions down. The personalities of the players mattered too. Unfortunately, Yu Feng was no Sun Zheping, and he was no Zhang Jiale. The two were unable to recreate the former Blood and Blossoms. In the end, they created a style that belonged to only them, a different partnership between Berserker and Spitfire. This was the so-called passing of time. The past was the past. Trying to force a recreation would always lack a certain flavor. What people reminisced wasn't really Blood and Blossoms, but rather the feelings they first felt seeing Blood and Blossoms. Those feelings could never be replicated because a first was a first. The next time would never be the first, but the second. Our own style. Zhou Yuan thought to himself. In the beginning, when Zhang Jialei's dazzling blossoms had been left with him, he had been terrified. The team called for him to succeed Zhang Jialei's position, so he studied Zhang Jialei like his life depended on it, to the point that he had almost started copying Zhang Jialei's habits. But what was the result? He wasn't able to do it as well as the real Zhang Jialei. He couldn't bear the pressure. That season, 100 Blossoms had relied on the rising Tang Hao to carry them, while he as the core studied and copied Zhang Jialei, throwing the team out of the season. Afterwards, he knew that he couldn't continue on like this. He needed to find a path that would let him survive. As a result, he was very grateful the moment Yu Feng joined the team. Yu Feng had taken that burden off his shoulders, letting him find his own path without any pressure. Sure enough, they were a good pair. Zhou Yuan recalled the idea of being complementary that he had just thought of. Then, next on the list is winning together. Zhou Yuan was just about to say something, when he heard a loud commotion. He and Yu Feng turned their heads towards the other side of the stadium, where a group of people were pouring into the stadium. Samsara. It was Team Samsara. Team Samsara's members were all present. As soon as they entered, they saw Yu Feng and Zhou Yuan standing on the stage. Their footsteps didn't stop because of this though as they walked onto the stage. Yu Feng checked the time and knew that Samsara was here to warm up too. The away team would often come ahead of time to familiarize themselves with the new environment. It was the playoffs right now. Samsara definitely wasn't going to miss even the slightest detail that could give them an advantage. It's 100 Blossoms, 2 leaders. Quote, as everyone knew, Samsara's captain Josekai rarely took the initiative to greet others. The one to greet Yu Feng and Zhou Yuan was Samsara's vice-captain, Jiang Botao. Yup, you guys are here to warm up. Yu Feng responded. He wasn't a stranger to Jiang Botao. Their generation of players had an intimacy from growing up as rookies together. Team Samsara had been formed from Season 5, Season 6, and Season 7 players. Many of them were of the same generation as Yu Feng. For example, the All-Stars Jiang Botao and Lu Boyuan had debuted in Season 6 just like him. Yu Feng had undoubtedly been the most eye-catching. That season, he had won both the title Best Rookie and the championship title with Team Blue Rain. Yu Feng's rookie season had been perfect. The only other one to have garnered such achievements in his first year in the Alliance was Team Tyranny's Zhang Xinji. Even so, it didn't change one point, their group of Season 6 rookies had all played supporting roles in their respective teams. The one to break through that fate was Yu Feng. He had joined Blue Rain and came to 100 Blossoms, becoming the first among the Season 6 rookies to assume a core position. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1387. First match. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1387. First match. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. There were 4 players who debuted in Season 6 and went on to becoming all-stars: Yu Feng, Xu Bin, Lu Boyuan, and Zhang Botao. Apart from Yu Feng, the other 3 were not core members of their respective team. If even these all-stars were like so, then the other rookies of that generation were even less important. The Season 4 rookies were nicknamed the Golden Generation. On the other hand, these Season 6 rookies were nicknamed the Helper Squad because of these coincidental happenings. The name pointed at how the Season 6 rookies all held support roles in their respective teams. The title was just for fun. No one would actually take these words to heart. But still, now that Yufeng had become the core of 100 Blossoms, the name Helper Squad no longer had the same impact as before. The Season 6 players all joked that Yufeng had let them down. They were joking, of course. Even if Yufeng became his team's core player, so what? Zhang Bouteo and Lu Boyuan were still members of the Helper Squad, but they stood beside Zhou Zikai, forming the formidable Team Samsara. The Helper Squad had helped win the team 2 championships back-to-back. Yufeng didn't envy them though. Champions. He had already become the champion once. What he wanted was to win the championships, not just with the status of a Helper Squad member. That was his personal goal. He didn't care about denying being a part of the Helper Squad. We're not bothering you guys, are we? Zhang Bouteo continued to chat with him. This social player could make friends with anyone, even when the two parties were irreconcilable adversaries. But for old players, though their attitudes on stage were very professional, none of them ever showed anger to each other off the stage. No problem, you guys go AEAD. We'll stop bothering you, Yufeng said. Even though both sides could maintain professional relationships on stage, in this sort of life-and-death battle, they were unlikely to happily chat around under such a tense atmosphere. Take care, Zhang Bouteo said as he watched Yufeng and Zhou Yuan leave the stage together. Samsara's other players didn't regard their encounter as anything serious, and everyone quickly started warming up. At 8 p.m., no seats in the stadium were empty. For the playoffs, each match was crucial. Thus, playoff matches were much more watched than regular season matches. The stadium had seats specifically for the away game fans as usual, and Samsara's loyal fans already had their slogan hanging down. The words "two-time champions" were the most important. After all, 3-time champions had yet to happen, and it wouldn't be good to call it too early as their slogan. It could be something that they could yell as a good luck blessing throughout the entire tournament, though. The two teams finally entered the stadium. The entrance ceremony wasn't any different than the ones in the regular season. As 100 Blossoms' home stadium, the cheers and claps for them were louder. Although Samsara was the defending champions and the current most popular team, it was still their playoff opponent's home stadium. The fate of the noise from Samsara fans could only be obliteration. Any team that made it to the playoffs were inevitably popular teams. The broadcast wasn't going to miss out on any playoffs match. The commentators were once again Pan Lin and Li Yibo, the signature duo. The broadcast team had originally wanted it to be a tricast like the Happy vs Tiny Herb match. In that match, the program had invited a guest commentator, and since many players wouldn't be participating in the playoffs, the program wanted to invite a well-known player. For this match, the program had thought of a brilliant figure. Sun Zheping. He was a former 100 Blossoms player, and he would certainly have a lot of things to say as a guest commentator. But when the program sent an invitation to Sun Zheping, they didn't think he would actually refuse. As soon as they approached him, the door was shut. Their morale had dropped considerably. During that time, they failed to find any other suitable players. In the end, it was still Pan Lin and Li Yibo duo casting for the first match of playoffs. After introducing the players on both sides, the two looked for things to say as they waited for the match to officially start. These two teams encountered each other in the final round of the regular season. Just another week later and they're back at it again. Pan Lin said, with it being a back-to-back match, these two teams must have a deep understanding of each other by now. In this situation, none of them have any secrets. The winner will be decided by how each team is able to execute their plans and adapt to their opponent's plays. Lee Yibo said. From the regular season records, 100 Blossoms actually has an 11-9 advantage. However, in the online poll before the playoffs, 81% of players thought Samsara would win. Pan Lin said, "It looks like Samsara's outstanding performance this season has helped them earn quite a bit of support and confidence from players." Lee Yibo said, "I wonder how this match will turn out?" Pan Lin wondered expectantly, Hey, you guys aren't going to watch the match?" At Team Happy's meeting room, Chen Guo was keeping the TV under her watch. She saw that the match was about to begin, yet no one was coming over. She rushed out of the meeting room baffled and found everyone focusing on their own computers. "Of course we will, but not now," Yishu said. "Then when?" Chen Guo was puzzled. "We'll watch the VODs," Yishu said. Chen Guo understood now. Yishu and the others wouldn't be watching to see who would win, or for fun. They would be watching it for the information, so a live broadcast wouldn't be as helpful to them as a VOD. Since no one would be watching, Chen Guo found it boring to watch it alone. Normally, the playoffs was a time when even players who weren't fans of the participating teams would watch excitedly. However, the current Chen Guo was no longer a pure glory fan. She needed to consider Team Happy as her first priority for most things. As a result, after hearing Yishu's explanation, she realized that this match wasn't just a brilliant show, but precious information. Thus, watching the VODs would be better. A bout of shouting could occasionally be heard from the first floor of the Internet Cafe. Happy Internet Cafe's match broadcasting tradition never went away. The playoff matches would obviously be played. Chen Guo gently closed the door to the practice room, so Yishu and the other could continue practicing in peace. Bang! Just when she closed the door, she heard a loud noise from behind her. She turned around and saw that it was their guild department's Wu Chen. He looked towards the meeting room. From the not-yet-closed door, he could see the match playing on the projection screen. However, there didn't seem to be anyone there, and Chen Guo had just gently closed the door. "They're not going to watch," Wu Chen said. "They'll be watching the VOD," Chen Guo said. Oh, the former pro player Wu Chen immediately understood. Everyone's really working hard. Wu Chen sighed. Yup. Chen Guo nodded her head. At this moment, another shout came from down below. Chen Guo couldn't help but look towards the meeting room. "Boss, you're not going to watch either?" Wu Chen asked. "I'll be watching." Chen Guo nodded her head. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. In the end, she was still curious. Samsara, 100 Blossoms, who would win? Who would be Happy's next opponent? If they wanted a better chance to win the championships, then it would be better if Samsara was eliminated early. No. Chen Guo and Wu Chen went into the meeting room together. The players on both sides had entered the stage. The climax before the match had ended, and the floor downstairs had quieted down. Pan Lin and Lee Yibo were still chattering non-stop. There clearly wasn't going to be any high points until the match finally started. Thump. Chen Guo heard a noise from behind her. When she looked back, it was Guan Rongfei. He had somehow sneaked in without a sound and found a seat to sit at. "So I'll be watching the match together with these two today." Chen Guo smiled. It had never happened before. When the match finally began, Chen Guo, Wu Chen, and Guan Rongfei quietly watched the match. Who won? Happy had a good work-rest schedule down, and it could not be broken in such a crucial moment like playoffs. When it was around 10 p.m., everyone came out of the practice room and watched the broadcast of the match that had ended not too long ago. They went over and asked about it. Samsara, Chen Guo told them the results. She had hoped 100 Blossoms would make the upset. Because she had wanted it, the match had been more stressful all the way until the end. In their home game, 100 Blossoms had lost the group arena and team competition to Samsara. Points? Yishu asked. 11-7. Chen Guo said. The playoffs tournament format was based on head count. Samsara had won the group arena and team competition, so they won the full 11 points. 100 Blossoms had lasted until the last matchup in the group arena, so they took 4 points. However, they suffered a large defeat in the team competition, only taking down 3 of Samsara's players, ending with 7 points total. Oh, Yishu nodded his head. It seemed only be a 4-point difference, but from the competitive format, it could be considered a crushing defeat. Lasting until the last matchup of the group arena meant they were equally matched in that area, but losing the team competition with a 3-person deficit was a huge loss. Let's analyze the match tomorrow, Yishu said. 100 Blossoms home stadium. The audience members had left. The post-match press conference had ended too. Only the janitors were left in the stadium. Yufeng once again returned to the stadium onto the stage. We lost. They had tried their hardest, yet they still lost. In the regular season, Samsara had been so fierce and aggressive, but in the playoffs, they became calm and steady to the extent that they couldn't tell that they were an aggressive team at all. After winning 2 championships, this team had been thoroughly refined. In their away game, in such a tense playoffs match, they could still play so calmly. 100 Blossoms had chosen to be aggressive this match, hoping to show off their power in their home game. But facing Samsara's calm display, their aggressiveness was like throwing rocks into the sea, silently stifled by their opponents. Lost. The loss wasn't regretful or resentful. The loss was so proper. It was as if it were inevitable. This sort of feeling terrified Yufeng. Had his fighting spirit been worn away during this match? Had his unconscious already determined that 100 Blossoms could not win against Samsara? Yufeng clenched his fist. I cannot waver. In times like these, I definitely cannot waver. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1388. Each making their own preparations. Audio source wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1388. Each making their own preparations. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. After the end of the first playoffs match, there was an outpouring of reviews praising Samsara's champion-like performance. As for 100 Blossoms, they hadn't made any major mistakes worthy of criticism, but it was exactly for that reason that Samsara seemed all the greater. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. The first match hadn't even been fully digested when the second match of the playoffs had arrived. Team 301 was playing their home game against Team Tyranny. Tyranny had conserved their energy all through the regular season, so how would they explode now in the playoffs? Because so many were curious about this question, this match received extra attention. But Happy need to pay attention to this match for a bigger reason than mere curiosity. According to the playoffs bracket, if Happy eliminated Blue Rain and advanced to the semi-finals, then their opponent would be the victor of 301 versus Tyranny. If everything went smoothly, then Happy would be facing one of these 2 teams. But on this night, Team Happy hadn't gathered together to watch the match. They weren't watching this match, nor had they watched recordings of the previous playoffs match. The next day was Happy's match, and throughout this entire day Happy's training had been focused on small adjustments and regulation. After dinner, everyone was free to do whatever they wanted. They could each use their own methods to reduce the pressure of this upcoming life or death match. In the meeting room, Chen Guo once again set up the projection screen to watch the match, and like before, the 2 who came by were Wu Chen and Guan Rongfei. The players came on stage. The match was about to begin, but Chen Guo couldn't focus. What was everyone else doing? Chen Guo really wanted to know. After dinner, everyone had split up without talking about what they were all going to do, and although she was curious, she ultimately hadn't bothered them. But to be honest, she still had some small hope that one of the players would stay with her, because she was very nervous too. She wished that she could do something with someone who was going to play the match tomorrow. has it started? Quote, at this moment, she suddenly heard Yi Shu's voice. Huh? Chen Guo turned her head to see Yi Shu walking through the door. You want to watch? She asked, surprised. Yeah, I have nothing to do, so I'll watch, he said, casually finding a seat and sitting down. Chen Guo looked at him and realized, that's right. This guy didn't need to do anything to relieve pre-match pressure, right? To him, wasn't this all as natural as eating and sleeping? He would just do it however he was supposed to. It's just about to start, Chen Guo said. Yi Shu might not feel any pressure, but Chen Guo was extremely nervous. Still, once Yi Shu arrived to watch this match with her, she suddenly felt that her heart relaxed quite a bit. These guys actually know how to conserve strength. Yi Shu mused. I do want to see what kind of match they can play now. Chen Guo of course knew to whom Yi Shu was referring with. These guys. The match began. Tyranny's first player, Lin Jingyan, 301, sent up Li Yihui. A face-off between two fighter-class players. The final winner was Li Yihui, with a small advantage. And then Tyranny sent up their second player, the rookie Song Qiang. After defeating Li Yihui, who'd only had a small amount of health remaining, he also defeated 301's second player Gao Ji. This kid has a bright future, Yi Shu said, giving his judgment of Song Qiang. Even though he lost the Best Rookie award to Tang Rou, that was largely because he was in a well-established team like Tyranny, and as a rookie he hadn't had as many chances to play in real matches like Tang Rou had. If not for Tyranny's three old generals rotating out this season, Song Qiang might have had even fewer chances on stage. If Song Qiang had had the same chances as Tang Rou, or if he had been used by Tyranny like Lu Hanwen last season, maybe he would have posed a threat to Tang Rou in the contest for Best Rookie. With a personality very similar to that of Zhang Xinji, even though he was young, he gave people the impression of being extremely reliable. But after defeating Gao Ji, Song Qiang was very quickly sent off by 301's third player Qian Wenju. Then, Tyranny's Zhang Jiale went in and defeated Qian Wenju. 301's Yang Hong came up, but in the end he too died in Zhang Jiale's brilliant 100 Blossoms display. These guys are in pretty good condition today, Yi Shu said. Qian Wenju had dealt a good amount of health when Zhang Jiale took him down, and then Zhang Jiale had continued on to defeat Yang Hong's full health scene killer. It was practically a 1v2. After that, however, 301's group arena anchor Bai Shu came on stage. By this point, Tyranny still had 3 players left, so their advantage was clear. Zhang Jiale played a very relaxed match, and although he didn't complete a 1v3, he still did his job in whittling down Bai Shu for the next player. Tyranny's 4th player was their captain Han Wenqing, and in the end Bai Shu's tide fell to desert dust. They all have a lot of spirit, Yi Shu exclaimed, after seeing Tyranny take the lead in the group arena, 5-3. Next was the team competition. Tyranny finally revealed how their rhythm was different from what it had been during the regular season. In the regular season, even towards the end when they stopped rotation and come on stage together like this, the focus had still been on maintain condition for the playoffs. There had always been worries that such rotations that prevented all 3 from being on stage together would cause their cooperation to become rusty. Reality proved that for these generals, such concerns were unnecessary. For these experienced players, it was like riding a bicycle. Once you learned, then no matter how long you went without riding one, you would be able to pick it up again very quickly. 3 out of the 4 Tyranny old generals appeared in a match during the regular season. But when they started making their adjustments for the playoffs, they swiftly readapted to working together, and didn't need much time to get used to each other again. They continued to repress their excitement and save their strength. They were waiting to unleash it at the playoffs. And now, it was here. They'd restrained themselves for this season. They'd heard all sorts of comments like, "These guys can't keep up anymore." Quote, but at last, Tyranny entered the playoffs, and they didn't need to save their strength any longer. They'd endured this kind of talk, and could now launch their powerful counterattack. Of course, however, they weren't doing this because of the talk. This was the rhythm that Tyranny had prepared for this season, since the very beginning. 6-2. In the end, they won a crushing victory. 301's strategy had only been refined through half a season. Now that it had lost some of its newness, it couldn't stand up to this most experienced team in the Alliance. The final score was 11-5, quite a large difference, and this had been 301's home game. 100 Blossoms, 301, they had barely clawed their way into the playoffs, only to lose their home games in the very first round. Some were delighted, some were crying. This was how all competitors were destined to end. "It looks like Tyranny will win," said Yi Shu. 11-5, this was a large advantage. Not many people would favor 301, who would have to make a comeback on Tyranny's home field. WuxRWorldAudio.com. "Alright, let's head back and rest." Yi Shu stood up and announced, as though he were about to go onto a battlefield right now. In his mind, probably, tonight's rest was a very important part of preparing for tomorrow's match. One after another, they exited the meeting room, only to see that there was still a light on in the charring room. Yi Shu casually pushed the door open, and found that Mo Fan was still inside. "What are you doing?" Yi Shu asked. "Video." Now, finally, Mo Fan wouldn't completely ignore people when they spoke to him. When it was a question, he would at least answer it. "Oh." Yi Shu walked up, followed by Chen Guo. The two of them stood behind him and saw. "These are all videos of Blue Rain's players." Yi Shu realized that Mo Fan was watching the performances of Blue Rain's players in the group arena. Happy of course had all of these match recordings, and they had organized some matches that were particularly worthwhile were picked out to serve as final summary data of Blue Rain. Mo Fan was watching all of Blue Rain's 1v1 battles from the regular season. And tomorrow, Mo Fan would be appearing in the group arena. Yi Shu didn't have the habit of waiting until right before the match to announce the roster. Typically he'd announce it the day before the match. The roster they were using against Blue Rain had been announced that morning. This round, Mo Fan would be the second player in the group arena. Now, it was already the night before the match and everyone was relaxing and adjusting their condition. Mo Fan, however, was still stubbornly studying the data on the Blue Rain players. "Don't stay up too late." Chen Guo, feeling moved, gave him a heartfelt reminder. Mo Fan didn't answer, he just nodded his head and continued watching the video intently. The few of them realized that there was no possibility of chatting with Mo Fan, so they didn't say anything else and merely left. Downstairs, the match had ended, and people should have been dispersing after watching the broadcast in Happy Internet Cafe. But right now, it seemed even more lively than it had been during the match. From the top of the stairs, Yi Shu and the others looked down and saw that the three players, Qiao Yivan, Luo Ji, and An Wenyi, had been enthusiastically surrounded. "What's going on?" Chen Guo immediately ran downstairs to ask the manager. It turned out that these three youngsters had sneakily joined this crowd of gamers to enjoy the match with everyone else. But when the crowd was dispersing, they were accidentally discovered and recognized. Gamers who came to Happy Internet Cafe, did their attitude toward Team Happy even need to be mentioned? They swiftly surrounded him and sent their well wishes toward these three young players. Hey hey! Chen Guo directly rushed for the PA system at the front desk of the cafe and shouted to get everyone's attention. "Let our players rest," she shouted. Yi Zhu. Quote, "In the end, everyone hollered even louder than Chen Guo." Yi Zhu hadn't taken the back door, instead walking down the steps through the internet cafe. Chen Guo's shout had attracted everyone's attention, and instantly everyone discovered this even more exciting presence. "Calm down." Yi Zhu decisively made his way to the front desk and plucked the microphone from Chen Guo's hand. "Everyone calm down. If you want to cheer us on, everyone is welcome at the stadium live tomorrow." Yi Zhu shouted. "Go Happy! Go!" Everyone chanted enthusiastically. They were all fairly in control, actually, because everyone knew that tomorrow was Happy's match, and no one dared harass them too much at this time. If someone was being particularly difficult, then the other gamers wouldn't accept it and would take care of the problem themselves. So, Yi Zhu's simple two shouts were enough to let everyone understand and settle down. The three youngsters extricated themselves, thanked everyone for the support, and left with Yi Zhu. Halfway back to their residence, they saw two familiar silhouettes squatting on the curb. One had cigarette smoke curling all around him, while the other was playing with what looked like a bicycle chain in his hands. The group quietly approached, and heard Wei Chen telling Steamed Bun all about his glory years. In those days, I was Blue Rain soul and backbone, a person they could never be without, Wei Chen was saying, his face full of sadness from reflecting on the past. End chapter.